right, what's up? It is 7 o'clock. Time to party. Welcome to the InfosecWizard stream. If you are just joining us for the first time, I know that we have a familiar face in chat. Hey there, 93KSJ. Welcome back. Nice to see you again. So today we're doing something a little bit different. We are doing, I guess, a makeover is the best way to say it, where someone has given me their resume and I want to see if we can actually give this person some actionable steps and rework their resume and send it back to him in the hopes and in the endeavor of getting them more interest in their resume, getting them some interviews, and hopefully they do a good job in the interviews and land a job. So in the end, hoping to give some actionable stuff so we can get people their first job in information security. So that is the goal today. Do something cool for one of our viewers, see if we can't get them some stuff. I have a couple of tools today too. So I've been working on a skill for this is for Codex that I will, well, it's actually live, the first iteration of it. I have some updates to add to it so that others can also use it and use the same tools that I'm using here. But we're also going to use my experience and stuff as well to coax it into giving a better resume. And then also, we are going to put together a plan of action for this listener so that they have some steps so they can keep building their competitiveness as well. So, before we dive into all of that fun stuff that we will be doing today, say hello in chat if you're joining us. I see a bunch of folks popping in and out. Say hello. If you're not following and subscribing, all that fun stuff, do so. And if you're interested in me looking at your resume, join the community, drop it in there. We do have a couple of other resumes to look at the end of this as well. But yeah, do that. And I have also created a form. So if you would like the opportunity for me to do this for you, what we'll be doing for this listener today, fill it out, give me their information, and we will figure out how to choose a person every month. And I plan to do this every month if it is something people want to see. So yeah, so there's that. Other than that, we have a new person who is going to be helping me in the Discord community. Kat will be in there helping me moderate. She is a intern. She's a student currently, so she will be helping me out. And yeah, should be fun. Should be fun. Help me get more professional and ultimately help more people. Other than that, I have what do we have? We put out a couple more videos this week. Tried to clean up some of the stuff from the labs we've been doing and try hack me so that people have a lab they can follow if they want to follow along with those honeypot challenges from Try Hack Me that we've been doing. They've been actually really good. So if you haven't done any of those Try Hack Me challenges that we did the last 2 weeks, I highly encourage that you check them out. They are probably some of the most realistic ones I've done thus far. First one's Linux, second one's Windows. Amazing things for you to get your hands on and walk through. If you want to understand how a real practitioner looks at this stuff in the real world, watch my videos, follow along. I give you that perspective so that you're not just copying and pasting commands. You're actually understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing so that when you're in an interview, when you're in the real world, you'll have that context and you can make really good, educated decisions. Other than that, I think that's it. I think we can start rocking and rolling. How about that? All right. So let me pull this up. I don't know how long it will take, but we'll get a good plan of action. I'll send to our viewer later. But we'll start off and we'll put some stuff together. Let me go ahead and share my screen per usual. And we just want a window here. And let me change the layout because I hate this layout. There we go. Perfect. All right. So Anand sent his resume. He reached out over Instagram, I believe, originally, and asked if I could help him out. And I was like, hey, I've been thinking about doing this thing where I do a full workup for folks to help kind of make over the resume, make over their pathway, whatever it is. Do you mind being a guinea pig? Anand said, Nah, not at all. Help me out. I'd appreciate it. So that's what we're doing. I plan to expand this further in the future. So helping folks with LinkedIn profiles, helping people with their interview skills, whatever it is. So he's not on this one. I think it's a he. Could be a she. We'll just say this person isn't on the day, but in the future, I would like the person that I'm doing a makeover on to be on so that we have a little bit of interaction going on and I can help that person a lot better because they're there with me. So I do plan to do that, especially like if they need practice interviewing, if we need to ask follow-up questions. Like on this one, I did follow up. I haven't got an answer yet because I just did it like an hour ago. So probably different time zone. But I asked for his try hack me profile so I could go in there and look to see what types of rooms he was working. But yeah, in the future, I hope to be a lot more interactive. We can have folks on here, have a good conversation, and really give them the workup that they really, really need. So that is the goal. All right. So let's start off by checking out the resume that they sent over. I have the hiccups. Sheesh. Let's look at the resume that they sent over. Oh, you're here. Perfect. Can you send me in our chat? Can you send me your try hack me profile so I can look at it and see what type of rooms you've been doing? That's one of the pieces that when I was looking over, I was like, I wonder what type of rooms he's been doing because that is going to help make a case for you. But we'll start going through this. We'll take some notes and then we'll do a workup. How about that? Thank you. Thank you for joining. I know it may be a little later early for you. All right, perfect. So he left stuff off at the top, which is perfect, right? He doesn't want to put that out there. Totally respect that. Professional summary. Cybersecurity professional with hands-on experience in SOC operations, incident response, penetration testing, CEH master certified with expertise in SIM platforms. He names a couple. EDR solutions and vulnerability assessment, top 1% on Try Hack Me with practical experience in security monitoring, threat hunting, and penetration testing. Ready for SOC analyst, security analyst, or junior pen tester roles. So just starting out, we have a couple of things here. He's using a common title for the section, which is a plus. He has listed some certifications that set him apart. Well, the one, CEH Master, that's cool. He mentions some specific platforms. That's cool. He mentions top 1% on Try Hack Me. That is a cool kind of, showstopper type thing. But why I was asking about stuff, I want to see how much he's done in these different areas of knowledge so that we can better articulate that in this resume, right? So one of the things we need to do as practitioners when we're putting our resume out there is we need to catch their attention. So this professional summary is your elevator pitch. Hey, here's like 4 or 5 sentences that should make you a believer when you're done reading it. If you're not a believer by the time you're done reading this, you're probably not going to pay much attention to the rest of my resume. And that's pretty fair. So you really, really need to do a good job. If you have a professional summary, do a really good job with it, or they may not read any further. So this is your chance to really get their attention. Now, the other thing that is a little troublesome with the resume here is that they're saying, hey, I'm applying for all of these roles. So this is where one of the things that you need to be doing as a practitioner is you need to be building each resume for each specific role. So you never want to put multiple roles in here. And he may just be doing this because it's a general resume, but we don't do general resumes. We do not do general resumes of InfosecWizard. We do them specific to the roles we're applying for because there's a big difference. So for me, I'm currently on the job market because my contract's over with, but I can have resumes as an engineer. I can have it as a lead for offensive security or as a cyber defense, something like that. But the resumes are going to look pretty different from each other because I need to convey different types of things for the hiring manager. So that's why I say we need to be very different here, because a security analyst is going to be more GRC focused. A SOC analyst is going to be more cyber defense focused, right? So that's where we're looking at SIMs, defensive tools. And a junior pen tester, they're looking to make sure you understand the basics of an attack chain, how to use basic tools like Metasploit, Nmap, Nessus, things like that. So totally separate mindsets, totally different personas. So each resume really needs to speak to that specific persona. So just keep that in mind here, Anand, that whenever we do this, we definitely do not want a general resume. So just so you folks know, they conveyed to me that they're looking at both a SOC type role. They have security analysts in here too, but he also is going towards a junior pen tester role. So either or. So we're going to have at least one resume prepared for them for at least one of those for SOC analysts, but we may do one for a junior pen tester here. We'll see how they stack up in each category. So let's move down. So I actually haven't met anyone with a CEH master. Maybe that's the one with actual lab. So the original CEH was just a multiple guess. I say that because I used to have a teacher that used to say that, but a multiple choice exam, which isn't the best. I don't know about the certified network defender. I actually don't know anyone with that one as well. So not too sure, but these are both EC Council. So a little bit of history for folks. EC Council used to be the hotness where recruiters loved it. Much higher level cybersecurity leaders and IT leaders loved it. They started falling out of favor within the last couple of years, unfortunately. That doesn't mean it's a waste of time. We just need to position this resume in a way that we can add to those certifications, right? So just need to keep that in mind. They're not the thing that's going to set you apart today. The CEH used to be like catnip for recruiters, I like to say. It isn't anymore, but that's okay. We can do some good stuff and make the resume look good regardless. We do have a comment in chat from 9-3. Thanks for chatting. Let's see. He said, I have the same issue with IT engineer roles and SOC roles. I should separate and focus on my resumes. Absolutely, 9-3. You most certainly should separate the roles. It's going to make you a much stronger fit for that role. Some of these job sites have things where they're telling you how competitive you are for the role based on your resume. That could help. But yeah, you're going to be way more competitive, which is the key here, right? For anything you're putting in for any role you're competing for, you want to be as competitive as possible. And the only way to do that is to tune each of your resumes for the job you're posting for. And it doesn't even have to do with just the role, like the role type. So 9-3 is saying he has an he should have an IT engineer role. He should have a SOC role. But the other thing is that a SOC over here isn't the same as a SOC over here. They use different tools. They may be built different workflows. So not only that, but they should also be designed for each company. That is going to maximize the effectiveness by tuning it for every company you're applying for. That is the biggest thing I can suggest. Luckily, we have AI. So the skill that I created should be able to help you with that as I get it tuned a little bit better so that it works better with zero knowledge about you. I've refined mine quite a bit and it does a really good job. So I'm trying to make one that's a little bit more universal so anyone can use it. So I will post the link in here later when we get into it. How about that? All right. TX has a comment here. So who passed both CEH, MCQ1, and one with practical one and get the title of CE? So it was the practical. Okay, so that was the differentiator. He did hands-on stuff, which is why he got the master. Cool. Perfect. So we have, just out of curiosity, TX, do they have like something similar for the network defender certification as well, or is the ethical hacker the only hands-on one? All right, so let's move down to professional experience while Anand is answering the question. We have January 2025 to March. So that's about 3 months of experience last year. Led the mobile security research under government projects, phase 3, analyzing 50 plus applications and identifying critical vulnerabilities that contributed to 15 plus national cybersecurity reports. Developed automated scanning scripts, reducing analysis time by 30%, collaborating with a 4-member team to build a comprehensive mobile security assessment framework. So, a couple of things here I want to point out, and I'm going to put it on a list so that I can track all these things. So, these are just notes. We'll say 1 resume per role. And I'll put that was from the summary. And then for security research, got a couple of things I would recommend you do. So, can we add any specifics about the type of vulnerabilities? So, were they criticals? Were they highs? Do you have specifics about the type of vulnerabilities? So, I mean, did you do, I don't know, I don't do a lot of mobile stuff, but I'm sure it's the same as a lot of the web apps, but like iDoors or whatever it happens to be. So I would include that in here. So you're saying basically when someone reads this, they need to be like, instead of like, okay, they're like, oh wow, yeah, that's cool. That's there's a lot of evidence there that shows that you did a really good job there, right? You weren't just there. So not saying you were, but we need to articulate really well that you did something good, right? You just weren't a butt in the seat. You weren't just cruising. We want to really convey all the cool stuff you're doing. So, especially for individual contributor roles, so that's a corporate term for someone who's actually doing the work and not in a leadership role. They're actually there punching buttons and all that stuff. So, for those types of roles, we really want to convey as much as possible the cool stuff you did. So, don't hold back, put it in there. But here's the caveat: explain it in a way that a hiring manager, not just a hiring manager, but the human resources, so the recruiters actually understand. So that's the hard part, is you got to put it in common language. So something to think about there. Let me pull that back up here. Talk about cool stuff. All right. So the other thing here, right, is you talked about an application. I know this is a long shot, but do you happen to have a Git repo, or could you talk about oops, sorry, not that one. The vulnerability scanning scripts. Could you talk towards specifics? What types of scripts did you build? What was their impact? All that kind of stuff is very, very important for conveying capabilities to a reader. See specifics about scripts, GitHub, impact. So you'll probably hear me say impact a lot when I'm reading resumes because we want to show impact. Now, if we're making stuff up for a lab environment and saying we're trying to have, some kind of crazy impact, that's not that great. We can still show impact without making up artificial details, not picking on certain types of folks out there, but we can do a good job of not making up details and still showing impact, still showing that we learned, we grew, we built something worthwhile, we're passionate, all those things. So it is possible. We can totally do that. We just have to think. Just have to think, and we have to use our tools, but we can certainly convey that. All right. So security analyst intern. So we do have an internship. So it looks like he had an internship for 1 month in July. Okay, cool. And it was Forge, MasterCard, and Telestra cybersecurity simulations. We have detected and analyzed 25 plus phishing campaigns, documented threat indicators, attack vectors, and adversary methodologies for threat intelligence. Okay. I mean, it's not bad, right? It's not bad. We have accounts of the different phishing campaigns. It'd be great if we could add tools. So what tools did you use in here? what types of frameworks are you using for this? So you have different frameworks for threat intel. You have like Diamond Model, stuff like that. So did you use a specific framework? Were you using MITRE here? So if we can throw any buzzwords into this, they're going to help out with the AI-driven HR software, just to throw that out there. But any specifics, don't be afraid to be specific. Just make sure you describe it well enough that it is comprehensible to people who may not be in the field, right? I put out a couple of videos this week talking about how recruiters aren't subject matter experts, and that's very, very much true. So we're always towing the line of we need to really talk about ourselves, but we need to also talk about ourselves in a way that they can understand. So talk about like how would you explain what you did to your mom? That's a really good example. So if you can do that here, like you're bragging about yourself to your mom, tell her what you did, art project, whatever it was. That's kind of how we want to orient these bullets. Hopefully that helps explain a little bit about how we want to do it. Let's look at this last one here. And let me know if you can't see the screen, folks, in chat. Welcome also, by the way, if you're just joining us. Don't be afraid to say hello in chat and to ask questions. I'm here for you. All right, so this last bullet is conducted security assessments for financial infrastructure, delivered actionable reports, improving security awareness by 40%. So this is kind of one of those super vague metrics that don't really mean much, right? Improving security awareness by 40%. What does that even mean? Does that mean everyone's 40% more aware of security? I don't know. Typically, if we are conducting security assessments, we're not really improving security awareness, or do you mean visibility instead? So there's not a lot of clarity here at all in terms of what you actually did. So that's definitely a bullet that we want to improve. So feel free to give me some comments about what you did there, and we can add it to your resume. Hey, Bento. Welcome, welcome. I'll put that up on the screen. Welcome. He or she wasn't afraid to say, name's Bruno, so I'm going to think it's the he. He wasn't afraid to say hello. I don't bite. I do not bite at all, folks. All right, let's keep chugging down here. Actually, let me put this on here. So intern, we want to say specifics about both bullets. And because you actually have internships, if you can add more bullets here, so if you did other types of work, don't be afraid to add it here. A lot of folks do not have internships at all. So you have 2 internships, most people have none. So feel free to leverage that, right? This isn't a role because this is an entry level type job you're looking for. Don't be afraid to put as much as you can on here. Obviously, maybe 3 or 4 bullets if you can do it, because this is the only experience you have. So you need to leverage it. Don't feel like you have to limit yourself to two bullets here. For me, right, like as an experienced professional, it's not particularly helpful to me. I leave them on there, but I don't put any bullets. But folks, like if you really want to do it, and same for experienced folks too. The more recent your roles are, the more bullets you want to provide, because you want to talk more about the most recent stuff, because that is the most relevant, right? It's the most recent things you're doing. Therefore, you're going to know that subject matter much more. You're going to be more comfortable in an interview talking about it. So feel free to expand on that quite a bit more. All right, we got a comment from 93. When we submit our resume for review, is it valid to include a few notes to go along with it? Absolutely, 93. The more information you can give me, the better, right? Because I have to fill in the blanks when I'm doing this with information to try to understand where you're at. So the more notes you can provide me, the better. It will help me serve you better, because that's what I'm here for, is I'm trying to help you. So the more I can do, or the more I know, the better I can do that. I'm not I'm not like a normal hiring manager, right? You just submit your resume and say, wish me luck. No, just give me information, and feel free to hop on and talk about it as well, provide more context. And you can talk to me after as well. We've had a couple people that sent it over to me and said, hey, can you look at my changes I made? Totally okay as well. So a lot of people are scared to talk to me, and I get, but you're cool, people. You're cool. Hit me up in chat if you don't want to talk about it in a public room. Hit me up with a DM. Totally cool. I don't bite. I do this literally because I want to help people. So if you're not talking to me, I have to just guess and make stuff up to try to figure out how I can best help people. So please do let me know how I can help you, please. All right. So feel free to keep commenting, folks. Again, say hello, and we'll keep chugging along here. So hands-on security training. So when I gloss at this, this is the stuff where I'm like, there is tons of activity here for Anand that he should really do a much better job of leveraging. So we're talking about top 1% globally. That means Anand did a ton of rooms, and he puts that number here, 215 in around 65 hands-on labs in SOC operations and penetration testing. That's cool, but that's not going to help Anand when he's submitting the resume and we're trying to match the resumes to the job listing, right? Just putting that super general is really shortchanging him. So this is where, and highly recommend this for everyone, where you build a master resume. Maybe you have bullets for the different types of rooms, or maybe you have bullets for the different types of skills you've gotten. Put those bullets in a master resume, and when you're perfecting the resume for the specific role at a specific company, swap stuff out. So if they're saying, hey, I want to make sure people are using Splunk, I want to see if they've done stuff with Wireshark, I want to see TCP dump, or I want to see if they've used Procmon, whatever, we're taking those bullets from TryHackMe that align with what they're looking for, and we're making sure those get included in our resume. So in here, we see nothing. We just see they did a lot of stuff, which in itself is impressive, very much so, Anon. But you're not helping me match a resume to the job listings that I need to match this to. So this really goes into something I want to ask you. I want everyone to ask yourself when you're creating a resume. Am I making the recruiter interpret my resume? Are they interpreting this thing I'm trying to convey? Like, I'm putting in here 215 rooms in SOC operations penetration testing. Am I assuming that they're going to interpret that and match everything in that broad spectrum to the things in the resume or into the job listing? If that's the case, you need to go back and add specifics, right? We don't ever want to assume that they're interpreting this the way we want them to. It's like being in a relationship, right? If you're assuming your partner can read your mind, you're doing a really bad job, because no one can read your mind, right? So you need to tell your partner what you need from them, or don't expect them to fulfill that need. Same with the recruiters. If we're not telling them about ourselves, there's no way for them to guess by looking at this what skills you've got. So we need to be very, very specific, folks, when we're doing this. So we do see some of that stuff down here, some keyword stuff down in Port Swigger, but we need to be doing that with everything here. So we do have some items here right under that with managed SIM monitoring. So Splunk, Elasticstack, threat hunting, incident response across 10,000 simulated security events. Started strong. That 10,000 security events doesn't really do much. I would instead say something like I did maybe 50 labs or 50 rooms that were specific to Splunk and Elastic or whatever, right? Like, say specifics, and we can figure out how to word that. But I would try to convey how good is that skill, right? That's what we want to convey when we're talking about this. So talk about how good is your Splunk skill? Insert evidence. How good is your threat hunting skill? Insert evidence. So that's kind of how I would go about doing that one. Now, let me add a little note here for TryHackMe. TryHackMe specifics for rooms skills. And again, this is where, because Anon is really living with two brains here. You have the offensive security brain, the defensive security brain, which is cool because that's how I live. But this is where we wouldn't even, if we were submitting this for junior pen testing role, we would most certainly not be putting this in there. They don't care about the defensive stuff. They want to know, can you hack something? This has nothing to do with hacking. We would put more related to hacking there, period. All right, so let's move on to this next one. Again, don't be afraid to shout out if you have questions, folks. We can help more than just Anon here. PortSwigger Web Security Academy. If you haven't heard of this, this is a really, really good site to practice your web hacking skills. PortSwigger, I'll put this in chat. This is a free academy too, right? There's a lot of paid stuff out there. This is free. This is very much free. And I left the P off there. Oops. So if you haven't done this and you're interested in web stuff, go do it. There's no excuse. Go do it. All right. So completed 120 plus labs across major vulnerabilities. Cool, cool, cool. Exploited advanced flaws, Java Web Tokens, OAuth 2, GraphQL, web cache poisoning, built custom payloads using Burp Suite. Hey, Zev. Welcome, Zev. Welcome, welcome. I'll throw that up on the window as well. There we go. Did it work? Maybe. There it goes. Joining us from Twitch. Welcome. Yeah, so did a quite a bit better job with PortSwigger. We can do better. We can do better. And again, we would be matching the stuff they're working on, right? So if the job listing is asking for very specific things, we would maybe talk about how many rooms you did dedicated to a specific thing. So cross-site scripting, right? There's tons of different types of cross-site scripting. Have you done it against WAFs? Have you done, whatever, right? How in depth, how good are you with this? So the more we can convey the level of skill, how much effort, how much knowledge you have, the better off you're going to be, the better they're going to be able to say, I can match this person to this role because I can envision that they're going to be able to do this job really well. Because that's what you're trying to help the HR and the recruiter understand when they read this is, can they envision you in this role? That's all you're trying to do here. So we have a question from Zev here. What were you talking about making payloads? Yeah, that's a really good question here. Inbuilt custom payloads using Burp Suite. I mean, that's a really good thing to define because custom payloads could be anything. I mean, they can be pretty small or they can be pretty complex, just depending on your skills, right? In your background. All right, so let's move on down to Hack the Box over here. And it looks like Anon has been doing this for well, what payloads are you talking about, Zev? I thought you were talking about this custom payload. What do you mean by small? I mean, it could be as simple as like, I don't know, 15, 20 characters. I mean, it just all depends on what do you mean by payloads? What type of payloads are you doing? Even something like cross-site scripting can be super, super small. Script, closing script tag, print. So it could be super simple. Yeah, so we definitely want to make sure we're conveying here. What do you mean? We don't want to leave any vagueness. We don't want to leave room for doubt in any of this at all here. So we have a question from Zev. What would an average payload look like? It could look like anything. It just depends on the attack. Really, really, really. All the attacks require different types of payloads. I'm sure Adnan has quite a few in his toolbox there, quite a few things. So yeah, we'll do some more hacking stuff, Zev, if you want to hang out on one of those, and we can definitely do some web stuff so you can see some of the payloads if you're interested in that type of thing. We'll definitely cover some more of that for sure. For Anon is asking using burp intruder for brute force forms. So yeah, I mean, you want to be specific with that. I bet that was really annoying if you have the community version of burp because it throttles you. But if you got it working and you were super efficient with it, hey, good stuff. But yeah, we want to be specific here. We got another question in the topic focusing on resume. Wouldn't it be better to focus on either defensive or offensive roles? Seems like it might have a bit generalized interest. Yeah. So at the beginning, when I was talking about the summary, definitely one of the major suggestions is to split this out into two: one for pen testing, one for SOC, but also whatever role he's applying to. So even company specific, narrow it down, make sure you're including things that you've done that they're specifically talking to in the job listing. So, yeah, you never want to do a general resume. You're going to go like, you could be maybe middle of the stack with a general resume, but if you tune it to the specific role and the specific job listing, you could be climbing up to the top 90% pretty easily. Just depends, right? So, don't do it. Don't do it. You're hurting yourself. All right, hack the box stuff. Solve 20 plus machines focusing on real world penetration testing and exploitation workflows. This is super vague. This is very vague. So I would talk to maybe the specific types of techniques, the type of systems. Let's see, practice privilege escalation, active directory attacks, lateral movement, post exploitation. So we got a lot of very vague stuff down here. Again, Anon, I would get as specific as possible. One of the things I was playing with today, just to throw this out there, was I was looking at creating almost like a database of all the different challenges for Hack the Box and Try Hack Me, and creating a database in a way that I can tie it to either my Claude or my Codex and be able to articulate well the level of skill in what each person has learned based off of the rooms and challenges they've done. So instead of you trying to figure it out, I have a database, I have tagging, so I know what all was done in that room. And so whenever I do this, as long as I have your handle, I can go grab it and I can do a really good job conveying that. I also want to do that as part of the portfolio that I'm building out. So I'm going to put out a portfolio template maybe next week. And I'd like to build a plugin where you can import all the stuff you've done in these training labs so that it can figure out for you and it can automatically convey the level of skill in the different categories of stuff. So whether that's offensive or defensive, you don't really have to think about it. It's doing it for you. That's something I want to build. Should be able to build it, I think, pretty easily. Because it is really hard, right? You're not tracking all the techniques that you've used probably in an easy to get to place. Maybe you have notes, but then you have to go through he's done 20 machines here, 215 there. So we're talking about like maybe 300 pages of notes that he'd have to go through to figure out what all did I learn while I was doing all this stuff? I don't know. And I have to figure it out. So something to think about. Hopefully I can solve that problem for folks. But for you guys and gals out there, try to convey really well the level of skill that you're learning in each one of these and do it in here. And then make sure you're matching it to the specific roles you're looking at. All right, let's see. We got a couple of questions. Do you think ExploitDB is reliable? Yeah, there's some old stuff in there. There's not a lot of really good new stuff in there. Let's see. We got another comment from Anon. For HTB and THM Labs, currently doing machines from Lane Kuzengi list of OCP machines. So it sounds like you're trying to go OSCP, which is great, which is very good if you're doing the defensive route. And I would say that your resume almost leans a lot more towards the offensive space for you, just looking at the types of things you've been doing. So something to think about. I mean, there aren't very many SOC junior level roles, but there's even less offensive ones. So, I always encourage people to follow their passion, right? If you absolutely love hacking, like I do, I love hacking. I love defer though too, but just follow your passion, like whatever gets you excited to get out of bed in the morning, whatever you want to stay up late and work on, you're probably going to do that a lot better, be a lot better there. And we just need to orient this resume towards that. So we could definitely work this towards the offensive space for you. We can definitely do that. All right, let's see. Let's see. Let's see what else here. Mobile forensics application extract Mobi. I hadn't heard of that one. Developed Android forensics tools. This is pretty cool. This is something anon. If you have a Git repo on this, I would definitely put that out there. This is a cool one. This is something you could definitely throw off that really shows the hacker mentality. I'm just going to solve problems. I don't have to rely on tools. I can build my own tools if I need to. This is a really cool one. I think this is a pretty solid bullet. Nothing here. If you have some additional information about the types of forensics that you're doing on here, are you doing carving? Are there specific types of artifacts you're pulling? I'm not super familiar with Android. I've never done mobile forensics. But yeah, if you can be specific and again, match if there's keywords to the role. But for this as a project, it's probably pretty cool. And if you have a GitHub, I've been seeing GitHub links a lot more these days when putting in resumes. So if you have something well developed, make sure you got a good README though. Don't force the hiring manager to like try to translate, like read through your code. Do a good README, then they'll flick through the code to check it out. But yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to publish stuff if you can. I know there's so many tools I've built I can't publish because I did it, and like specific types of companies who don't want to put that stuff out. But if you have stuff that is public or that you can make public, feel free to do it. It'll be good. And then just make sure you have a good README for it. Let's see. For some people, money is also the problem. So if you go for one, I choose OSCP. I like to get a job easily in my country. Yeah, the other thing for you as well, Anon, is if you got the OSCP and then you did maybe one of the lower level like SOC ones or something like that, or were able to convey that you had good entry level skills, companies love folks in their SOC or for their SOC who have done offensive stuff, because you are much better than a pure. I'll say a purist. I'll put that out there. A purist SOC analyst at finding bad because you understand how to think like the bad guy. So we would just need to convey this better, but you would also have to have the supporting information to show that you can actually do basic SOC investigations as well. So we need to make that case in the resume. Hey, I do have all the foundational SOC stuff. I've played with these tools. I know how to do investigations, but look, I also can think like an attacker. If you can tell that story, you're going to be in a really good spot too, and you'd probably be able to pick up a SOC role with OSCP. But also with the OSCP and with this stuff, you should be able to do pretty good in terms of being able to find a junior level role when they're out there. They're very rare, but you may be able to get one. And there's some other things we can talk about later too, like doing bug bounties and things like that that will help spruce up your resume as well, especially if you're interested in the web application stuff. So lots of chatting going on, man. We got some chatty folks today. Love it. I love seeing it. Yeah, money is definitely an issue. Anon, I feel you. I think a lot of people feel that as well. Let me get my mic over here so I can stay centered. So yeah, totally get it. And that's why a lot of this stuff I recommend, I try to be as efficient as possible with folks' money because money doesn't grow on trees. I don't know if your mom's ever said that to you, but yeah, we have to be cautious. It'd be great if we had all the money in the world, but most of us do not. So we need to be very picky. And so at the end of this, Anon, we'll have some really good actionable stuff, give you some options as low cost as possible. That will help spruce this up for you. So we got Zev has asked, what's my favorite tool on Kali? I don't really have a favorite tool. I just use a tool when I need it and I'll flip. I have, for me personally, it takes a while for me to move away from a tool if I'm comfortable with a tool. So like Nmap, I know there's a lot of other ones out there now. Stick to Nmap. I'm very comfortable with it. It does what I need to do. I use Nessus as a scanner, comfortable with it. I've used it for years. But if I get comfortable with a tool and it keeps doing this job, I tend to stick with it just because I don't want to waste another hour or so trying to learn another tool, unless it's just turned to complete crap, and then I'll learn another tool. um, let's see what else we have here. User noob, yeah, but manually inspection first. If you found web port first, yeah, I mean, you're always going to have to do manual inspection for sure. You just don't want to throw tools at stuff because then you're just kind of like spraying and praying, if you will. Yeah, keep up the chatting, folks. We'll keep going down this resume, and then we'll rebuild him stronger and better here. So technical skills. So this technical skills piece here is what I like to say is where you can do a lot of the keyword stuffing. I just caution you not to put stuff here if you're not comfortable with talking about it, because it'll get you in trouble in the interviews. But this is a really, really good way to reinforce the things that you've talked about in the rest of your resume as well. So a lot of stuff here. So SIM, endpoint security, Splunk, Elastic, log analysis, threat hunting, EDR, malware analysis, incident response, digital forensics. So these are a lot of keywords that will pop up in job listings for sure. Definitely for sure. And I'm not going to read through all of them, but it's got them nice and categorized. My current version of my resume thing does it very similar as well. So really good stuff there. Yeah, I mean, no questions about this. Again, tune them towards the job listing. I can't stress enough that everything in your resume needs to be tuned to the job listing you're looking at. All right, so education. So we have a bachelor's of technology in computer science and engineering. So we got a bachelor's degree there. So sweet. I don't know I mean, this looks like not a great GPA. I'm not familiar with how you guys do GPAs over in India, but if it's not that great of a GPA, I would leave it off. Unless it's a requirement over in India. Again, I'm over in the US, so I don't really know how a lot of the other parts of the world look at stuff or hire, right? I don't know what the job markets do over there. I just know the US. But in general, I would say if you don't have a great GPA or if something doesn't look good, I'd leave it off unless you really, really had to put it in there. 9-3 has a comment. How valid is it for me to list well-known industry security platforms I've worked with, such as Huntress, Hornet Security, and ThreatLocker? Yeah. So that's definitely something you can do. You can put it in the technical skills. You can put it under the specific job that you utilize them in. And specifically, I would keep them in your master, your master resume that you have going out there, because if you come across a place that has that listed like Huntress or whatever listed as a job requirement, that's going to help you stand apart, because it is really hard to find people who have used your tools in the past or used your type of tools in the past, right? So if you're in a SOC and they use Huntress, there's not a lot of people who've used Huntress because it's not that popular, right? I've never used it. I don't know. But it makes it a lot easier to onboard you in an organization if you have it. So it would definitely give you a bump if you have things on that, especially the well-known ones. Like ThreatLocker is just growing. I think they really just started taking off, a couple of years ago, maybe. Hornet, I've actually never heard of Hornet Security, but Huntress, I would say, is popular enough, and ThreatLocker probably. They definitely post them. But keep a record of all these tools that you've used so that if they do come up in a resume, or in a job listing, you're going to want to put it in there, because again, it's going to give you a little boost there. All right, you got a lot of folks in here throwing out all the tools that they use when they do pen testing. So we got some WFuzz, Nmap, looking into notes for commands and payloads. Yep. Those are, I actually haven't used WFuzz. I just use like Zap. If I'm fuzzing something, I'll just use Zap, unless I'm on a real pen test. And then I have my Pro Burp license for sure. Are you only going to do one review? No, Bruno, I have two more I have to do. So I'm going to get this one done, and then we'll see if we can't get the last 2 in at the back end. So I have 2 requests this week. So hopefully that answers your question. Bruno. Good question, though. All right, so let's build this thing out. So one of the things that we would do, right? So for this thing, right? If we had to give some recommendations to Anon, we would say, hey, let's make a SOC specific, like a role specific resume. So let me see if I can open up another one without destroying that. Okay, it worked. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. And not that one, this one. And we're going to say, like, let's say if you had to choose one Anon, which one would you use? Which type of role would you look for? Would it be penetration testing or a SOC analyst? SOC analyst role. So let me know there, and then we'll build this around there. Folks, if you're new, definitely say hi. Don't be afraid to chat with folks. They're very chatty today, very active in chat. So keep it going. If you have any questions, like 9-3 has been asking a lot of questions today, definitely ask them. Don't shy away from that. I'm here to help you. So got to let me know what you need. Pen test. All right. So let's build this around a pen test resume. And I'll send this out to you after. Okay. All right. So hands-on experience in penetration testing, CEH Master Certified. We'll clean this up in a second. Okay. So this won't be the final one. CEH Master Certified, expertise in SIM platforms, CEH Master Certified. So we'll cut that. And vulnerability and experience. I'm just cutting out all the stuff we don't really care about right now. Top 1%. We don't really need this 3 million users. I think that's one of the ones, like, it's a big, well-known platform. I think that kind of stands on its own. Well, I say that, and I was talking to a recruiter a while back, and I was like, hey, yeah, I look for people. I want to make sure they have labs and stuff, that they've been doing stuff. And means Texas. And I was like, I want to see this, like, stuff like Track Me and Hack the Box. And they're like, what is that? I'm like, wow, I guess I assumed the recruiter knew what it was, and they don't. But if they're doing pure cybersecurity roles, they'll definitely know what it is. But unfortunately, a lot of organizations, they're not only looking at cybersecurity resumes, they're also looking at accountants and business people, sales reps, all this stuff. So I don't expect them to be subject matter experts in most organizations. There are, like, if you're in a big corporate environment, you will have nuanced type folks, but that's not every organization, is it? All right, back to here with practical experience in penetration testing. So it looks like we're doing a lot of copying here. So ready for junior pen testing roles. So this doesn't look very great. I know. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. But we are going to leave certifications up here. Both of these are fine. I am a big believer. If you got the if you have the certification, put it in there. Put it in there. Don't shortchange yourself. You worked hard for those things, and it just shows the breadth of your knowledge, right? So it's not going to hurt a thing. So here we want to say led mobile security research under government ISE project, phase 3. So this, I would maybe explain this more. Do people in India understand what that means? Because I have no idea what that means. Let's see, analyze 50 plus applications, identifying critical vulnerabilities. We'll say what types of vulns, criticality, types of, let's see, and impact. All right, and I'm gonna highlight this. We'll come back and fix that. Develop an automated security scanning scripts, reducing analysis by 30%, collaborating with a 4-member team. Tell me about scripts that you created. Do we have a link? All right, put that there. I'm just leaving notes for me in here. And detected 25, so analyst here. What I would do, because you have a security analyst internship here, what I would focus more on is the types of attacks, complexity of the attacks. Because what you're trying to convey, especially in a pen testing role, is do you understand what these attacks are, right? But also, right, we do want to show that we can do them. But if you're just doing security analyst stuff, the closest thing you can do is, can you identify these things? Do you know what they are? And that's going to be a good leg up for you, I think. So like with phishing, there's tons of techniques. And I know people are like, but he's saying phishing campaigns. Yeah, but there's tons of different techniques there that we can really call out it, that they change over time, right? Like Google does such a good job in cutting the different types of tricks people can use, the different platforms. You have different email securities. So if you can talk really in depth about the different types of attacks, that's going to be a good talking point, because part of your interview is going to be for you to explain attacks, right? That was part of my junior interview was, hey, tell me about domain fronting. Hey, tell me about this type of, like, tell me how C2 works. These, if you can explain these, then you're going to be in a good spot. And being a security analyst should have helped you understand what it looks like, understand the attacks a little bit better. Conducted security assessment. So this is a really good one. Talk about tool. Delivered actionable reports. Let's see. Tell me more about the security awareness piece. That one we don't really know much about. Cool. Bruno says, I feel like now we need to optimize so much to pass ATS. Yes. We've been talking about that a little bit earlier on, probably before you got on here. But yeah, you really have multiple levels you have to get through. So you have the ATS system, so applicant tracking system. So thank you for putting that out there, because I forgot what it stood for. So thanks, Bruno. So you have that level, right? And this is where you really need to match keywords. You really need to make sure, like, don't assume that because you have, I did phishing campaigns, that it matches anything in the job listing. No, you need to specifically call out the things that match this stuff in the job listing. And that's going to help with alignment with the ATS. The other thing you need to be careful with the ATS is that you don't want any crazy frickin' formatting in here. If you have tables, if you have, like, I had a slash in one of my titles, and I noticed that was screwing stuff up. This right here may screw stuff up too. Like, I may take that off of there. That may screw up ATS. You'll know that if you put your resume in one of the job listings and you say, fill out my application with my resume, and it chews up all your stuff, like it's completely jacked up, your resume is not ATS optimized. That is a good indicator for whether or not you're doing the right stuff. If it's chewed up, you need to go back and fix your resume, see if it can be interpreted correctly. And if it is, that means the ATS system can interpret your resume properly. Because that, believe it or not, that is one of the things that can really screw you over. Is it's not that you don't have the stuff in here, but the ATS system just garbled your resume, and it can't figure out how to match you properly. Even though on paper you look good, but when the system is looking at it, it can't make heads or tails because it's not in an expected format. So, we have this saying in programming, garbage in, garbage out. That's exactly what's happening. It's garbage is going in because it's not the right format. And then it's going to say denied because it says, hey, this person isn't a match, because it couldn't read all that information. So that is a problem. A lot of people don't know that. On the other side of that, we also have AI-enabled ATS systems as well, and having the right verbiage in here. So talking into specifics, matching what's in the job listing, that is most certainly going to help with that piece with the AI component. And then after that, right, it's going to then go into the hands of the human resources, the recruiter. So it needs to be written in a way that they know you match what they're asking for. And again, they're not subject matter experts. So it needs to be high level enough that they understand that you're a good match. And then here's the other level, right? We're not done yet. The other level is the hiring manager. So this is a for all intents and purposes a subject matter expert that can look at this and say, I understand what they're talking about. Then it also has to make sense for them, where they just don't say, nope, this is a trash candidate, nope, this is a trash candidate. They should look at it and say, yeah, I want to talk to them, let's set up an interview. So you have all these levels you do have to get through. It's just not, I build a resume, I put it in there, and now I'm hoping and praying. No, there's a lot you can do to set yourself up for success here. And it starts with making sure your resume matches what's in the job listing and making sure it's in a good enough format that the ATS system isn't going to turn it into garbage. So that was a really great comment, Bruno. Thanks for making it. Okay, so let's keep going through here. Let's see. We are going to chop this stuff out. We're going to say talk to specific techniques. We'll say AD, web. Let's see, tickets. Let's see what other types of major stuff we have. I'm trying to think of some of the major types of techniques, maybe like C2 type stuff. And there's lots of other stuff. Again, we would match it in theory here. And I'll pull up oh, didn't want to do that. Clicked everything. Sorry, I messed this thing up. Oh my goodness. What happened? Oh, it's right here. I jacked up the original resume. How did that happen? Bizarre. Bizarre. Did it again. What is going on? So weird. It's like I can't have two open. I guess this is what I get for using a very, very janky thing. There you go. It worked that time. All right. So yep. Bruno's adding a bunch more information in there. Definitely listen to that. This one's pretty good. We may be able to let it stand on its own. We can pull out a junior pen test role in a second and we'll match it. So we'll leave that one for now. We'll leave this for now. Actually, we'll add this to it. Add specifics. And then we want a get link. Okay. Get repo. All right, cool. All right, so let's pull up a job listing. I know I got all this junk up here. So let's see. Junior pen tester role. So let's see if we can't match it up to one of these. This is actually showing you where I'm at. Shops, here we go. All right. Here we go. So junior mobile web application, junior. Let's take a peek at this one. Oh, it opens up to the right. So we would have, I like looking at the full description. I know this is a cleared role, but that's fine. So let's see. So this would be where your vulnerability scanner works because that's what they're looking for. Perform reporting, penetration testing, PTES. So If you're familiar with that, that may be something we want to put in there. Provide support to incident response teams through capability enhancement. So this would be good where we could put some more blue team stuff in for this one. This is where your Git repos would come in handy, right? It's asking for develop or modify tools. So talking towards the things you've done would be very, very beneficial here. Hey, Harem, welcome back. So let's see what else here. Bachelor's degree. Yeah, yep. Experience with evaluating. Yep. This is your vulnerability scanning. So this would be where we would make sure every single one of these get put in there, because you should have done a majority of these in PortSwigger. We would make sure all of these tools would be listed in there. And fundamentals of network routing and switching, familiar with findings, performing root cause analysis, yada, yada, either attain one or the following. So, oh, you have CEH. Look at that. So you would be a decent match. Besides this, you wouldn't be able to get this because you're in India. But you wouldn't be a bad match for this type of thing. So not too shabby. Let's see if I can match, and then we'll put this into my resume system, and we'll see if we can't make it a little bit better for you. Is there no description here? There's no description. Sad face. Here we go. This may be more open. Perfect. Let's see. Ultraviolet. I'm looking for a good one that we can match you to. All right. They didn't really do a good job of articulating the types of stuff they want. Let's see. And some of these are probably just made by a recruiter. Didn't get a lot of input from the hiring manager, and so they're pretty vague, and they're relying on other stuff online. So I'm looking specifically for a junior role generally. Associate penetration tester, maybe this one. Let's see. Yep. IAM. Practical knowledge. These are just so super general. I'm used to seeing where they're quite a bit more involved here. Okay. Let's see if we have like a pen tester one. Actually, no. We'll make it work with one of these junior ones. We'll do it with the government one up the top, because that one was probably what is generally better done. Was it this one? No. It was Paraton. Okay, so I'm going to change screen shares so that we can look at my system. And yeah, I have my codex thing up here that I've been working on. So this is the thing that I'm going to share as I refine it a little bit better. So I have his resume in it, and I just need to put it down here and share it. Best way to go about getting a security clearance is getting a job that requires a security clearance. Unfortunately, there's no shortcut. You don't want to pay for one out of pocket. You won't be able to get one anyways. There's no way for you to pay for one out of pocket. So unfortunately, a lot of companies are hesitant to do it, to pay for someone to get one. But it is definitely doable. But generally, you just got to hope that someone really thinks you're a good match and is willing to do it. So, and I say that because, and not to kind of bust your bubble. And this is a common question actually with folks, but the government, if they're saying, hey, we want this person to have a security clearance, then if they hire someone without a security clearance, they're not paying, or technically they don't have to pay whatever they were agreed in the contract until that person gets a security clearance. So when a person picks you up and says, yeah, I'm going to hire this person for this role, while they're waiting for you to get that clearance, they may not see a dime. So they're really taking a risk with people. So they do a good job of vetting people out because it does cost money and all that stuff. So definitely a tough thing. Is it a good place to work? It can be for some people, for sure. All right. So what I did was grab that job description in this role. And my system is really, I just say, tune it to this role. And so it should go through and optimize it forward. And we'll do some tuning in a second. But again, I know it's fairly ugly, but we'll fix it in a second. This is essentially a branch of my personal one that I use, and it hasn't been super fine-tuned yet, unfortunately. So we'll do it live. Let the demo gods be with us. But yeah, so this is kind of how I do it. But for me, and if you go to my Git repo right now, you'll see this in here. And kind of what it should do is it should prompt you to give it a master resume of bullets. And don't feel bad if you don't remember everything as you're filling out job applications and stuff. You're like, oh yeah, I did this thing. And you say, okay, add this to my master resume, because there's nothing to say that you can't keep adding to your master resume as you remember stuff. Or as you see that people actually care about it, right? I saw one that I applied for that was asking for Databricks. Yeah, I did a bunch of stuff in Databricks, but I generally don't put it on my resume because people don't care about Databricks. So that could be one of the things. Yes, we'll make the changes. Also added like security stuff so it doesn't interpret. Like I put a bunch of guardrails in there for resumes. You never know. Like it just looks at the plain documents. It won't run any code in there. It won't interpret any commands from it. Basic stuff in the back end for me. But yeah, so you should be building out that master resume. And then the big thing that you want to do is that you want to make sure that you give it really good guidelines. And I'm a work to make it better. Like I worked with it for probably an hour the other day to get it to make the summary better. Like my guidance was, I want to knock people's socks off when they read this. And so it would take basically it takes the most applicable stuff from my master resume and puts it in here and tries to wow the reader. Like it doesn't make anything up. And I gave it specific guidance that says, don't make crap up. I don't want you to make crap up because it definitely early in my journey, it was making up all kinds of stuff for this. And of course, we don't want it to. We want it to be truthful because we're going to have to defend our resume when we get interviewed. All right, so here we go. Can people see this? That's what I want to know. Can we see this? If so, or I can zoom it in a little bit more for folks as well. I don't know if we can. Okay, yeah, we can see that. So I personally don't like this, and I need to add a guardrail against this in here where I don't like it putting a bunch of them up there like that. I just typically just say use only the job title at the top. Don't list specific skills. Don't list a bunch of stuff. And we'll fix that. We'll add some more stuff in a second. So here we go. So Canada penetration testing, blah, 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 CEH master, CND certified. So as you can see, so this is, and I haven't even fed it my notes or anything yet on it. It already cut out all of the defensive stuff. It knew that it wasn't applicable and it got rid of it. but it left the certification, which is fine. It moved the technical skills up to the top, actually, which can be fine, especially for more junior analysts, junior folks in general. It may be better to put your technical skills closer to the top, just so you know, so that they're seeing what's matching sooner than later. I would also move the training up to the top, perhaps as well. Just depends. Doesn't hurt because there's not much here. So this is actually Codex. So I was asked, which AI am I using? This is Codex. So this is the desktop version of ChatGPT, actually. But you could use Claude. Claude has something very similar as well. You should be able to convert my skill to work with whatever AI you want to. It's pretty basic to convert skills from one to the other. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to use what I'm using. You can use whatever you have. Just convert it. That's the power of AI, folks. The power of AI. All right. So we have some stuff here. And the problem that we won't be able to add specifics from the different platforms because we don't know what Anand all did. But we can see that he built practical exposure to alert triage and incident response workflows that can support penetration testing, reporting, and response team collaboration. Look at that. So, it talked to the blue team stuff in here and made it fit the narrative, which is, hey, I'm ready to rock and roll as a penetration tester. Now, what we need to look at is see if we need to tune any more of this. Like, I think we need some work on the summary. For the summary. And again, this will help with the master resume, Anand, when you do that. I'll give you a link to this as well. You can just use for summary. I want to knock the socks off the reader, make it really catch their attention. Their attention with the most applicable items from my resume. All right, so we'll add that in there. Let's see. Developed automated scanning scripts that reduce analysis time by 30% in support of that. Documented mobile application security findings and vulnerability assessment reports for review, remediation planning, and security research deliverables. So how close is that to what you said originally? Applications identifying and contributing security reports. Oh, so you did say security reports. It just kind of enhanced that verbiage for us. Okay, cool. Cybersecurity analyst virtual experience. Detected, analyzed 25 plus phishing campaigns, completed, blah, blah, blah. Practice and analyst style reporting by translating security findings into clear recommendations for non-technical stakeholders. So they're doing a lot here. I don't know if you've noticed, but they're really talking about like going heavy in on the reporting aspect of your different things you've done, which is fair. Reporting is probably one of the hardest things to teach people who are new to penetration testing because it is a style in its own right. So technical writing style. And to be transparent, that's what the clients are paying for. They're not paying for all the fancy stuff you did, all the tools they're paying for. Can you actually convey all that technical jargon, all that technical stuff you did into actionable steps for them to improve their security posture? So if you are really, really good technically, but you write really crappy reports, that means you did a crappy pen test. And so your job is to figure out, how do I do a great pen test and a great report? I got to finish my pen test report tonight, actually. Sad face. It's like going to end up being 300 pages. Not looking forward to finishing it. Okay. Let's see what else is here. So this isn't bad. I think, Anand, you and I will talk a little bit after this, see if we can't build this out, see if I can't get you to play with this tool a little bit and build it out. So this is kind of like a minimal requirement. So this is fine, I would say, for it to be at the bottom. This project is probably fine at the bottom. You can tell that it broke out some of the bullets to make them a little bit more digestible for a reader. but we can build this out a little bit more. So I would say right now, this is really good. If you really, really want to increase your stock as a candidate, yes, OSCP would most certainly do that for you. I think we can do some stuff down here with these platforms because you've done so much. I think we can develop this a little bit more to speak for you. So that's something we can work on together. So I would say that I will send this over to you and then we can talk about these different items here. You may have given me, let me see if you gave me your thing. Give me a second. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's go see what your try hack me stuff did. You don't mind me putting it up here, do you? You might have some followers, man. Let me go back. And let me stop sharing this screen and we'll go back to this other screen real quick. Real quick. There we go. All right, so let's go try hack me. I know the machine's expired. Oh, let's follow someone. Oh, I don't see you in here. Oh, I'm probably not logged in. That's why. Refresh. Give me a second. Let me stop sharing. Wizardry. Oh, just fixing this stuff. One moment, folks. Sorry about that. I can spell. All right, let's try this again. Refresh. There we go. You can log me in. All right, logged in. All right. Back at it. We're back at it. All right. Lots of folks in chat. Definitely say hello. Folks. We want to say hello. Got a lot of cool people tonight. Here we go. So let's see. I followed you. So I can keep track, see what you're doing. So we have a lot of completed rooms. Let's see if you have any certificates or badges. Lots of badges here. Let's see what your recap is. You've been killing it. Holy smokes. You've been really going in on this thing. So let's see what types of rooms you have been working on. 20 pages. Insane. So easy, medium, miter. We got some Wireshark in here. That'll be good for a sock roll. Linux, web application basics, snort. All right, I'm looking for some good stuff here. Boogeyman. So these are good ones. So you got a premium account, cool. Deploy and hack in a Windows machine exploiting a very poor. So you have a lot of stuff in here. And so, yeah, what I would do is basically Boogeyman, extract some of the major things you've done in here so that you can talk to them in more general terms instead of just, saying a little bit wider, hey, I just did some web stuff. Hey, I just did a bunch of stuff. We don't want to be very specific and match it to whatever they're looking for. And I'm just looking for, so a lot of web stuff here. A lot of web stuff, which is fine. Web's kind of I don't want to say rarity, but there's not a lot of people who can do web really, really well. Like I'm okay. I would say I'm like maybe a 7 out of 10 with web stuff. I don't do it very often. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll work on some specifics and wrap them into your resume. Okay. And then I think you'll be in a really good spot. I think overall your resume is not bad. A lot of that tuning, if you got the OSCP, of course, that would really set you apart. Um, yeah, I'll look at them real quick. Um, you know, if even I would say, OSCP will certainly set you apart, but it is kind of pricey, right? It's in that medium pricey range for folks. You do have other options. TCM has some options. Hack the Box has a really cheap option as well. They're not as well known, but they're going to show that you know this stuff. OSCP for sure is a really good one to get, but if you can't afford it, you can't afford it, which is the case for a lot of people. You know what I mean? So, I mean, don't feel bad about it. We just have to plan around what we do have on hand. So, oh, that was a fun one, Mr. Robot. So, yeah, you got some pretty decent stuff here. Looks like you got a handful of pages on pen testing stuff, but yeah, we'll pivot. So after this, Anand, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you your resume back to you that I have updated here. And I'm gonna send you an action plan of things that I'd like to see from you. And maybe I can build my tool to extract all these things from these different rooms so that we have that at some point for everyone. But the only modifications I would like to see with the resume really is just honing in on these different areas that you do lab work that you did lab work in. I'm gonna just bring it back up here. This would be the only area, really, right? If we can improve this and match it to the resume a little bit more, we need to do that. And with these, if you have any Git repos, any public code that you did here, we also want to show that on your resume so people can go and look. So those two items in itself will do really well. And I forgot to hit go on this, so it'll update the resume, but I'll have it also improve a summary for you. And you will have a hot looking resume. And hopefully we start getting some nibbles, man. Nibbles on your line that you're casting out there. Sweet. I'll let that cook in the background. I do want to get to these other two resumes. So Anand, hit me up after this if you have any more questions with the stuff I send over. Definitely keep me informed how your journey's going. I want to cheer you on with everyone else that you've got a job, you got into the industry. We're cheering you on, man. We got your back. All right, so let me pull down these other resumes while this thing's cooking. Yeah, make changes. All right, let's pull these on over. So I think these were, and if you haven't been over to the Discord channel, come join the community and hang out. We are growing. I'm trying to figure out how to be cool. And one day we will all be cool. Yeah, running a community is different than hacking. That is for sure. Let's see. Save as resume 1. And grabbing this other one here, we'll have 2 more resumes we'll give feedback on. And got one from Chris. All right. I'll save that one and bring it over. So resume 2. All right. And come on. I just want the folder. Just want the folder here. Here we go. Resume 1, resume 2. We'll copy and paste. All right, let's see what I'm sharing here because I don't know. I'm not sharing anything. Oh my gosh, what'd y'all let me do? I broke it. Let's put this right here. Okay, and fix the layout. There we go. Beautiful. All right, so 2 resumes. We'll go with resume 1. Thamiko. It's a fun name. All right, so let's zoom in. Let me make sure everyone can see it. That's still a little bit small. So the only thing I worry about is this over here. For formatting, I think ATS is going to tear this up over here to the right. I don't know if y'all can see my mouse. I think it's going to chew this up. I wouldn't do these over here. I would kind of update it the way we saw the other resume, where they're right there beside it. And again, we just want to make sure it's able to identify this stuff without chewing it up. So let's dig in here. Security analyst. So we have cybersecurity analysts. Oh, we're over in Ireland. That's Irish name. Nice. Cybersecurity analyst with 4+ years of experience in threat detection, incident response, cloud security, operations, not observations, across enterprise environments, proven ability to analyze and triage high volume security alerts, investigate incidents, and improve detection using SIM platforms. Name 2 SIMs. Strong expertise in identity-based threats, so IAM stuff, phishing analysis, and cloud security, Azure, AWS, with hands-on expertise or experience automating workflows using Python and PowerShell to improve response efficiency. Not bad. That wasn't bad. I would say I would rate that a C+. So it's not too bad, but it doesn't knock my socks off. I think we can improve that a little bit more. I think you can do that with AI. Let's see what else you have in your resume here, and we might be able to help you out. So you got this one. You've worked here for almost a year. And let's see, we have analyze and triage 2030 weekly security alerts across Microsoft Defender, Sentinel. So that I would improve that first bullet. Like, what do you mean by triage? Right. So you're saying you're IT support, but you're triaging security incidents. That sounds like you're doing SOC work. So if we can loop this into the SOC stuff, maybe, but you may have these other bullets that support that too. So let's keep going. Investigative phishing, attacks, accounts compromise, and anomalous login activity using log correlation and behavioral analysis. Okay. Investigative phishing attacks. So if you have any tools, so like if you're using Intra to investigate phishing attacks or a specific tool, I would call that out here as well. And yeah, I mean, that's not terrible. Not bad. Improve detection quality by tuning SIM rules, reducing false positives, and enhancing signal accuracy. So one of the things I don't see you doing is calling out the SIM that you're using. And I would talk about how you're tuning stuff. So there's usually a big difference between how different organizations allow more junior folks to tune their stuff. So being specific with the type of tuning that you're doing would help. So if you're just putting in allow us tickets or tuning tickets, or you're actually going in there and modifying the logic to allow this stuff to work better, that's even better story, right? If you're doing a little bit more complex tuning, that looks much better. Automated repetitive investigation workflows using Python and PowerShell, reducing response time and analyst workflow. I would talk more in depth. What do you mean by automate repetitive investigation workflows? So talk more. I think you're leaving a lot of meat on the table here with this bullet. I think you can make yourself make this a lot more powerful by talking about the types of things that you're automating, and talking about the types of workflows you're building out here. So definitely talk more there. Conducted root cause analysis and documented incidents with clear remediation actions. Okay, I think that's just, it seems like a filler statement to me. Collaborated with engineering teams to enhance detection coverage and strengthen security posture. So I would talk more like, what do you mean? How did you enhance this detection coverage? How involved were you? Were you part of the team that helped them decide what logs need to be ingested? Maybe with sysmon configurations, talking about that. Like, talk more in depth if you can about what do you mean with that collaboration? What exactly did you do during that work there? Overall, this isn't too bad. This is a pretty solid section here definitely needs a little bit of strengthening, but it's pretty darn good. Let's see. Data center operations engineer supported secure operation of large scale cloud infrastructure environments. How so? Right? How did you do that? Investigated system anomalies and access irregularities using log analysis. What types of system anomalies? How are you doing log analysis? So SIM, what SIM did you use here? Assisted with vulnerability management and risk identification across infrastructure. Okay, if you can talk more in depth about what you did. Yeah, please. Worked in high availability environments, responding to incidents under strict SLAs. So this is kind of a little bit of a filler, but it could do some matching on ATS systems for sure here. So not too shabby. It's with all of these, right? I think a lot of people get in the habit of, hey, I should make these super vague, super easy to understand, but then you're losing a lot of leverage, a lot of pop that you could have with your resume when you do this. So you got to kind of toe that line, right? You don't want to get too over the top, but you still need to match these things they're asking for, and you need to talk yourself up. You need to brag a little bit about what you do. So don't be afraid to do that. And then we have IT support analyst. So your last role here is monitored and analyzed the logs using Splunk SIM. There we go. Now we have a specific SIM. Conducted vulnerability scans using Nessus and Nmap. Perform network traffic analysis using Wireshark to identify suspicious activity. Supported incident triage and escalation process. I think these bullets are super choppy, and I'm curious, like, is it because you really didn't do a ton there? Let's see, you were there over a year. So I'd expect you did quite a bit more here than you're talking about. So I would definitely expand those. You hit the keywords, right? You hit the tools, but now talk more in depth about the stuff you actually did. How did you add to this? That is what you need to do. It'll give it a little bit more pop and help you get that role. Like looking at your resume here, right? Not having a conversation with you, you would definitely be ready for. I'm gonna say definitely ready, but I would say you could probably work this to like maybe a SOC tier 2, so like a mid SOC role, just based off of this. I mean, this IT support analyst very much seems like you're working on a SOC. Let's see what else you have here. You have a master's, you have a bachelor's, so that all looks really good. Let's see, technical skills, you got them listed here. You got a handful, but you are doing some keyword matching. You got frameworks, great. Let's see, projects, Qualys, VSA, and then vulnerability lifecycle, identify to remediate a system vulnerability. Wow, got hiccups. Documented findings and remediation strategies. Yeah, I think this could be a little bit more powerful. And I see this for pretty much all the projects. You really just treat it like a honey-do list, right? Like you're with your significant other and you have a list of stuff you need to do. It just has a list of random things you did, right? So like build a bookshelf or, but it doesn't talk about how in-depth the bookshelf was, right? What if you like cut the wood yourself down from a tree, made the planks took like 6 months to dry out, then you build it, then you put some kind of special epoxy over whatever, right? Like, build a bookshelf is kind of what you have here. But all that other stuff you did, talking towards all the skills you had to have as a carpenter, were totally missed from just that one bullet. And you're kind of doing that here. You're shortchanging yourself. I'm sure you did a lot more than this, a lot more in-depth stuff. And we want to convey that. You already did all the hard work, which is actually doing the lab. Don't get lazy on me. Let's talk yourself up. Let's make sure people know what you learned and what value you can now bring to the table because of that lab, because of that project, whatever it is. And again, everyone is doing this. This just isn't. It's not just you, and we need to help folks get there. So down here under certifications, we have CompTIA, CYSA. Cool, good for an analyst. Pentest Plus, not too bad. Then we have AWS Academy graduate. I don't know what that is. I've actually never heard of that. Cloud Foundations. And then we have DevOps Fundamentals, LinkedIn Learning. So we have some certifications, some training here. I think we have the baseline covered with these. Okay. Now, besides those things that I mentioned, how else could we strengthen this? If you had the ability, and I don't think you need it here because of this experience. If you beef this up, you'd be good for a mid-tiered analyst position. Usually with more junior folks, I'd say get a hands-on certification. I don't think you need one. If you can talk this up a little bit better, expand on the things that you've done, articulate your experience a little bit better, I think you would be good. I think you would have a really, really good resume here. Also, just another note here, just to bring it up one more time. If you find this screwing up stuff whenever you're submitting your application and you're saying, hey, take this resume, fill out my application, and it's not getting the dates right, that means this thing is garbling this up and you'll need to adjust it. It looks like it would to me, but it may be able to interpret it correctly. I don't think so, though. So something for you to look at. All right, so that is that. Are you in here? Wow, I'm flicking around all over the place. Are you in here, Thaminko? If you are, you can ask any questions to me. And while you're preparing those, let's move on to the next one. All right, so this is resume 2. So this is the correct one. So let's zoom in here. So we have they're putting their top skills at the top here, which is fine. Some people do prefer to do this. So Security Plus, CYSA, CCNA, CEH, Splunk Core certified power users. So we have some really, really solid certifications for a SOC analyst role. And I think this person, let me look to see what they wanted to do. Pulling it up Discord really quick. Because this is Chris and FreeMag have been applying to jobs but getting very little interest. Okay. So hey Chris, if you're in here, let me know what type of role you're looking for. I am going to guess SOC. Yes, SOC 1. Okay. You don't have to answer me. I answered my own question. Answer my own question. Thank you, though. Okay, so let's check this out. Cybersecurity professional with a published KQL threat hunting portfolio and hands-on detection engineering experience across Microsoft Sentinel, Splunk, Defender for Endpoint, brings an investigative background in evidence, documentation, pattern analysis, and incident coordination directly to tier 1 SOC operations. So it looks like you're trying to tune a threat hunting portfolio detection engineering to a SOC 1 role. So we may need to adjust the summary to better position yourself, saying, at the front, I have all these skills. I'm a tier SOC 1 operations. I know you've kind of said that here, but I think it's really more of a, hey, I am a threat hunter detection engineer, but I'm trying to get a SOC tier 1 role. So that's kind of how it reads. Just needs a little bit of massaging. And I think we can kick this, knock the socks off of the reader here for you. Let's see what else you got here. We'll come back to the summary after I look at all this stuff and see if we have some more things here. So this person Chris has chosen to do all of his technical skills at the top, which is totally cool. Again, just to reiterate this stuff, we want to make sure our skills are aligned with the job listings that we're applying for. Just want to put that out there. They are working on a master's. They have a BA in criminal justice. So that may be one of the things that may be hurting you, is that you don't have a bachelor's in a relevant field. So, you don't have to have a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity to get a job. However, it drastically does make a difference. So there are a ton of old school companies that say, hey, you have to have a bachelor's. So I would venture to guess somewhere around 50% of the organizations would like to see that and have that listed as a requirement. So something to think about. So that could affect you to some degree. But you have some really good certifications there. Let's see what else we have. IoT Cyber Defense Extern. Okay, so this is kind of like an internship with a different name. I don't really know the difference between an extern and an intern. I don't know. I think maybe no externs. No, externs might be a little bit shorter. I don't know. Does anyone know in chat what the difference is between extern and intern? I've had externs for my company, Tandem. We've had externs, but we kept them for kind of the same amount of time that we had an intern. I don't know. All right, so let's see. Execute an end-to-end security assessment on a live IoT pipeline, identifying attack vectors and MQTT broker communications and intercepting unprotected sensor data streams. Harden the IoT system by implementing TLS, MTLS encryption, eliminating unprotected data transfer, locking down device authentication. Developed a Python Streamlit AI anomaly detection prototype to flag abnormal sensor behavior and delivered a formal security improvement report with risk prioritized remediation recommendations. Okay, so that was a mouthful. My take on this, how I'm reading this, I would say your second bullet is kind of a filler. You probably just click the button to enable secure communications. But I see the formatting. You did it as, I did this thing. This is the impact. That's pretty traditional. Cool. I think you probably did some other stuff here. I mean, you developed something with an AI anomaly detection prototype. Maybe that's one that you do 2 bullets on if you did a lot more, Chris, because that seems cool. I will say anything with AI in it is like catnip these days. Almost every flippin' job listing I see, at least in the more experienced world, lists AI. Everyone's kind of leaning into the AI. So if we can do some AI stuff, you're looking good. So maybe you have another bullet that you could talk to there, but I would replace your second bullet with something more meaningful. I read it as you just click the button. Maybe you did more than that, but that's how I read it. I would also expand on, tell me a little bit more about the end-to-end security assessment. How did you do it? What was involved? Did you use a vulnerability scanner? Talk a little bit more. Like the end sounds pretty impressive, but the beginning I read, I don't really know what I read, right? So maybe expand on that a little bit more for me. All right, so now these other ones aren't super applicable. So arson investigator, patrol officer. We got a prior Leo. Hello, welcome. I wasn't. My dad was though. Old Papa Small. Cool. What's funny? So most people don't realize is that there's a lot of overlap between what you do as a SOC analyst and what you do as an investigator. So this guy was a street crimes detective. My dad was also a detective. So when I try to teach him, or not when I try to, when I do teach him, teach the old dog new tricks, I convey it in terms of like being a detective. And it's so funny how close it is. So funny. I may, let's see, conduct threat assessments, coordinate incident response across high density campus environments. You made these applicable. I like how you did that. I was skeptical. I just glossed over them because I was like, oh, these aren't going to be applicable. I mean, that tells you about, maybe a hiring manager would have done that too. But you made them applicable. I can see that. They may look at you like, oh, maybe we can turn this guy into a shift lead or something. So that may be something they'll think about. You have some leadership experience, which is good. You have a lot of investigative experience that may translate. That is probably the same thing that they will be thinking as well, Chris. So good stuff there. I keep scrolling because I think it's a page, but it's a freaking picture, man. It's a freaking picture. All right, Login Pacific. Another one from Login Pacific. You guys are like Gremlins, man, y'all come out the woodworks here. I bet I will have the same criticisms of yours, but I appreciate that you did not put that as experience. I appreciate that. Okay, so security support analyst lab reduced critical vulnerabilities by 100% in high risk findings. So I hate that. I hate when y'all do that. Like you're conveying it in a way that it's like a real environment, but it's not. Um, I would talk more towards PowerShell remediation. I would talk more towards um, like using the Tenable, so Nessus or whatever you're using for scanning, and then talk more towards how the script that you use in PowerShell to do this. And hopefully you have that script up in your GitHub as well. I would definitely put it there. But like, it just doesn't mean anything to me as a hiring manager, right? I know this is a lab. So saying that you you reduce critical vulnerabilities by 100% and high risk findings by 90%, it doesn't really mean much to me. Like, I don't really care. But talking about the Tenable scanning and PowerShell remediation, I can kind of fit that into, hey, if he's comfortable with PowerShell, that'll translate as a SOC analyst where maybe you have to automate some stuff. That's what I'm looking at. Because some tools like CrowdStrike has where you can utilize PowerShell scripts to gather forensic evidence and things like that. But today, just with AI, right? One language is another language, right? You don't have to have super in-depth experience in multiple languages anymore. You just need to know how to understand what you're seeing and how to coax it into building what you need it to build. So just having any type of programming is probably a good thing. Built custom Microsoft Defender endpoint detection rules, cut false positive volume, and improve SOC alert triage efficiency. I know what you're trying to do with a false positive volume thing. I would cut that out as well, unless you happen to see it in the job listing. I would instead talk towards you building the custom Microsoft Defender rule. And I say that because one of the biggest flaws in junior analysts is that they really suck at query languages. Horrible. And it takes a really long time to teach them to do so. So if you can talk more about how good you are with building custom queries and with finding stuff and pivoting, the better candidate you're going to be in the eyes of a hiring manager who looks at every junior candidate as, oh my gosh, I have to teach another one stuff. You're going to be good. You're going to look much better in their eyes. Okay, so executed KQL and SPL threat hunting queries across endpoint, authentication, network logs, documenting IOC findings, and structured hunt reports. This is a really weak bullet, this last one. Now, I say that, but I also believe that you can make this very, very strong. So instead of saying you just executed some queries across these types of logs, like that's a who cares, right? Talk about the types of queries. What types of things are you looking for? What types of techniques? Are there specific threat actors? Do you have a link in your Git repo where you're keeping all these queries, right? Do you have a repo of KQL or SPL or Microsoft Defender endpoint queries? Where are you keeping those? Because I would love to look at those as a hiring manager, right? So something to think about. And then the documented IOC findings in a structured hunt report. Do you have an example of the hunt report? So that could be a strong bullet, right? Documented IOC findings in a structured hunt report. Talk about that. Talk about the methodology you used in Hunt if you want to bring Hunt in this. But this can be a very, very powerful bullet. I think you're shortchanging yourself quite a bit on this one. So I'd like for you to work on those, work on that section a little bit more, orient it towards the skills that will make you stand out as an analyst, and it will do you pretty good. Okay, so KQL threat hunting portfolio, perfect. So I was asking about this and you got it here. Published production ready KQL detection queries and Microsoft Sentinel targeting brute force attacks, lateral movement, and anomalous authentication patterns. Okay. So as a hiring manager, I would go and look at these and let's do it. Jam 252. See, Jam 252 dot, what was it? .github.io. .github.io. All right. Very cool. I love it, man. This is a snazzy portfolio. I love it, man. Very cool. Let's see. I'm looking for your portfolio. Question is, where is your portfolio? Do anything's link out? Nope. Where's your portfolio? View lab work, LinkedIn. No. So I don't know. Maybe we go here. Threat hunting, investigation, tools. I'm looking for your repo. That's what I'm looking for. So you're making it very hard for me to find the repo. And all I wanted to do was see your threat hunting queries. So that would be something I would fix, Chris. I would make it really easy to find the repos. Like I was very interested to see what your queries were going to be. And I could not find them. So maybe they're in here. Let's see, investigate plan, review, blah, blah, blah. Where device name equals that, where file name contains store. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It shows you can do some basic stuff. I would love to see some people do actually some like original research and build some legitimately custom, interesting queries out there. Port equals this. Let's see if you documented where. I'm trying to tie it together, right? I'm trying to look at it and be like, okay, did he do anything original? Did he do anything custom? Is he doing his own research? That's what I'm looking for. Because a lot of times when I see these types of stuff, especially from login specific folks, not to pick on y'all, it looks like all you did was copy and paste stuff. You just followed along this lab. And when I see that, I automatically think, well, this person didn't really learn much. They were exposed. Like that's what I consider most of that experience. This person was exposed to this stuff. I want to see some some deep investigation on things to understand what you're looking at. So these were created on here. Maybe include some intel or some CTI work where you're like, how does Tor look in the network? What types of things are occurring, and then turn that into a query, right? Then you would look through the logs, determine what fields are appropriate for those things that you're seeing with Tor. That would be a little bit more impressive. But these are pretty good. You're actually extracting field names. Don't see that a lot with folks. That's good. Let's see what else we got here. You're building a timeline out. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yeah, I would build onto these more, folks. I think you're shortchanging yourself with these things. I think you can do a lot more with those labs. Just simply because, like, again, to me, they just look like you copy and paste, but I want to see people exploring. I want to see people kind of pushing the boundaries, kind of paving their own way. You should be doing a lab where you get a good understanding of something, and then you should do a project where you're expanding on that knowledge and trying some new stuff. Sure, you should document both of them, but I guarantee you the project you're going to be learning a lot more along the way, more than likely. Let's see. Did we do anything else here? Lots of certifications here, by the way. Security Plus, UISA, CCNA, CEH, ECIH, Splunk Certified Power User. I would take off. I would almost take these off. I mean, you have room, so I guess you can leave them on there. But I'm curious why you're not getting any feedback here. You got lots of certifications. I think maybe we need to work on this summary here, and we really need to make it pop. And we really need to do a better job with these um, this extern role. We need to do a better job with these lab projects. Maybe add some projects, right? Also you need to make sure you make this easier to get to. KQL threat hunting portfolio. I want to see this. I didn't see anything that matched up to this wording, and it could just be me being dumb. But there's going to be a lot of dumb people out there, I promise. We want to make this easy to get to. But I do want to applaud you. Before we end tonight, I want to applaud you for this portfolio. This is a very, very slick, very, very nice portfolio. Love it. Love it. Looks very good. So good job there. Let's see if we can't freshen up that portfolio. Yeah, I'll see if I can't, once I get my tool straight, maybe I'll run your stuff through the tool. Maybe we'll have a conversation, see if we can get your resume straight. You should be getting stuff. Your bachelor's degree in law enforcement may be hurting you some, but you have a lot of certifications. So a lot of times people will look the other way because of that. So yeah, let's do some specific stuff. We'll chat. I'll hit you up after this. Maybe tomorrow. I'm gonna go to sleep probably. No, I got my report. Crap, I got my report to do. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining tonight. I do have to get back to my long pen test report and finish that up. But thank you for joining. Had a great time. Hopefully next time we do this. So what is this, second week of May? So second week of June, we'll be doing this again. Probably a lot longer. We'll just focus on that one person that time. We'll even have them pulled onto the stream so we can have live conversation, talk to them, fill in some of these gaps, and make sure that we can get them across the hump. Whatever roadblock they're having, we want to get you across that roadblock, get you more interest in jobs, get you more interviews. If we can even get you a handful of interviews by tweaking a few things, let's do it. Let's get you there. All right, folks. With that, we're going to call it a night, and we'll see you next week here on the live stream doing something. Look in the community. I forgot what next week is. Hold on. Let me look. Don't leave yet. Let me look. What is it? What's next week? Is it guests? We're going to start having special guests on this too, by the way. How about that? But you didn't think about it. No, next week is a anything week. So we'll see what's going on. We'll put something out. And then the last Thursday of this month, we'll have a guest session. So I'll get us a guest. They will most likely be a professional practitioner who have been doing this for years, and they're going to show us some of their tools of the trade. So things that they have been doing and some stuff. So I have a friend that has been wanting to get on here to show us how they build detections. I have another friend that would love to show us how they do investigations. Lots of cool people. We got a threat intel person that would love to hop on here and talk to us. So we're going to have people like that come on, like true professionals. They've been in here for a hot minute. So you can ask them lots of questions. I want to learn some stuff. Hopefully you're going to learn some stuff. We're going to be growing and doing some cool stuff together. All right. With that, have a good night. We'll see you in the community throughout the week. Bye, y'all.